I'd like to introduce our guest speaker tonight, Mr. Steve Fitzhugh. Steve, where are you? There you are, right there. This former Denver Bronco and Cleveland Brown is a graduate of Miami University of Ohio, where he served as captain for both the football and track teams. He holds a Master of Divinity from Howard University. Steve is a national spokesperson for FCA. A resident of Washington, D.C., he serves as the executive director of Power Moves, leading students into success and significance. His talks help people make positive choices in life, whether it's a high school or college campus, the corporate boardroom, or an NFL locker room. Steve's passion for success and change moves, motivates, and empowers. Please welcome Mr. Steve Fitzhugh.
Pardon my pace. I seem to have discovered how to break a bone in my ankle. My first broken bone ever. Isn't that crazy? First broken bone ever after all the times I slid headfirst into home plate. After all the times I stole second base. After all the times I was swinging in the tree and my mama said, "Steve, you get out that tree, boy, before you break something." After all the times I had to hit that tight end coming across the middle who was much bigger than me. After all the times that we stopped the Raiders on Monday Night Football with the goal line stand. Yeah. I tried to step on a moth in my kitchen. I sprayed it. It hit the tile floor. I sprayed it again. I said, I'll just take it out of its misery. Whoop. Wow, I went down. And I called my brother-in-law, and he had already found out about it. And he answered the phone like this: "The insect won, huh?" And my wife, bless her heart, she had hip replacement surgery, and she was 1 week into recovery, and she heard me hit the kitchen floor, and she was coming as fast as she could. It took her about 7 minutes. And she said, "Steve, you all right?" And I wrote a new song. I fought the moth, and the moth won. It is good to be here tonight and to take these last 2 hours to share with you something that God has... You told me to let my hair down and be myself, so... Tony was taking his seat. I stopped and whispered to him. I said, "You couldn't see me?" "Where's Steve?" "I'm the guy that looks like you." Boom. But I am so delighted to be here. I am really delighted to be here, and I'm going to get to the point because I have so much to talk about. Then I don't want to take my full 2 hours just introduction. No, but I have a knee caddy. Anybody know what a knee caddy is? That you kind of scoot around on it. That helps me get through the airport. And so I'm 5 weeks into my recovery, and I fell coming up the jetway because, just a little word to the wise, if you're going to take your backpack and put it on the knee caddy in the front, make sure you put your knee on the knee caddy first, because the weight will just kind of tip it over, and it'll hit you in the butt. And it'll knock you down, and the captain will have a hard time picking you up off the floor. So I told my wife I fell on the knee caddy. She said, "Again?" No. She said, did you get hurt?" I said, "I bruised my ego." But Andrew, I'm not gonna pick on Andrew. Andrew picked me up from the airport, and I told him about my knee, about my not my knee, but my ankle. And he looked on the bright side. He said, "Steve, well, look all the new material God has blessed you with." Why, thank you, Andrew. We've had the opportunity to do a lot of great things in life. And my affiliation with FCA is one of those things I'm most endeared to, and I'm really excited about the work that FCA does. I get the privilege, ladies and gentlemen, of being all over America, except this year, and and I get a chance to hang out with young people. I get the chance to hang out on college campuses. I get a chance to be in front of folks all the time and make presentations, and I believe every opportunity is special. And there's one thing I've come to find out, and I'm not just saying this because I'm sitting at the head table, but the one organization that I've seen time and time again, key and central in giving the gospel away, giving Jesus away to young folks and coaches, has been the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Wow. They get her done. And this is every summer for the last 30 years, I've done at least 1, 2, or 3 FCA camps, with the exception of this year, obviously. But and it's been my pleasure to unashamedly give the gospel away. And that's what changed my life. The reality is, I'm one of the ones. I am one of the ones that was impacted by the gospel of Jesus Christ. And people say to me all the time when they hear my story and they hear about my family, and Steve, is that really your family? Yes, it is. Steve, is that really your mom? Is that really what you experienced? Yes. I never saw my parents embrace. My parents divorced when I was in the 2nd grade, and I saw my mom and dad fight before then, and it was difficult. I saw Mom one time. She was in a bad way. She is right at the tail end of an argument with my dad, and I was only 7 years old, and I remember my mom, her hair was all over her head. I remember her lip was bleeding, and I remember her eyes were watery, and she went in the kitchen. I didn't even know Mom had a gun. Mom went in the kitchen closet, got a gun, and she had it hidden, and she came back, and she aimed it at my dad, and my worst fears were being realized in front of my eyes as I stood next to my dad there in the living room at 1082 Roslyn Avenue, and I looked up, and my mom was aiming at, "You're not going to lay another hand on me." And I'll never forget the helpless feeling as my dad grabbed me with those big paws of his and around my little tiny 7-year-old biceps, and he snatched me up in front of him as a shield. "You won't shoot your baby." "Steve, is that your family?" "Yes, that's my family." My parents divorced, and I remember later on my mom, she called me up when I lived in Washington, D.C. She said, "Stevie, I've been dizzy ever since I fell." I said, "Mom, go to the doctor." My mom went to the doctor. The doctor said, "Ms. Fitzhugh, you have 6 inoperable cancerous tumors on your brain. You have 6 months to live." She made it 7 months. She died July 2nd of that year. July 2nd is my brother Chuck's birthday, so bittersweet for him, July 2nd, and I ever want to wish my brother Chuck a happy birthday. I try to call him on July 1st because July 2nd, he's still going to be processing the pain, and he may not remember our phone call because of the way he processed his issues. "Steve, is that your family?" "That's my family. I only played football because of my big brother Raymond. My big brother Raymond was off the chain." I'm sorry, that means exceptional. "Roger, he said he's off the chain." "What's that? Is there a chain in here?" I'm sorry. But he was the #1 running back in Akron, Ohio. That's where I'm from, the west side of L.A., lower Akron, Ohio. And I used to go to those football games. I never forget hearing them say, "Touchdown, Ray Fitzhugh." "That's my brother." "Touchdown, Ray Fitzhugh." "That's my brother." My brother Raymond was my hero. But my brother Raymond never played college football. He turned down all those scholarship offers. And he joined the Army. That's not an indictment against the armed services. My wife was a major in the Army Reserves. My brother Raymond became alcoholic, and he smoked so much crack cocaine that the base of his brain exploded. He died instantly at the age of 41. I don't have time to tell you about my sister Greta and her abuse of drugs. We lost her in 2008. Steve, is that your family? That's my family. But I am one of the ones. I am one of the ones who had a life that was revolutionized because I had a personal encounter with Jesus Christ, and He is real. Hello. Changed my life. Now, I don't normally do show and tell at my talks, but I brought a little show and tell on tonight. And don't ask me why I'm talking like this. These personalities come and go. I'm not schizophrenic, I am. But for the last several summers, I've been teaching American football to Muslim, Jewish, and Christian boys at FCA camps all over Israel. Are you serious? Did y'all hear what I said? Did y'all hear what I said? I've been teaching football. I was in Bethlehem telling the young man, bend at your knees, boy, pump your arms and your backward run. Come on, come on. And I'm down the street from where Jesus was born. Hello. But it's very interesting being at Shiloh last summer, not this past summer, but last summer. And they took us to a little spot which would have been adjacent to the sanctuary where Joshua built the tabernacle when they had just come out of the wilderness. And there are all these shards of pottery. So I stole one. No, I'm just kidding. They told us to take some. They did. They told us to take some, So, but this is from the tabernacle that was built right after the children of Israel wandered for 40 years. And I like to keep this with me because it confirms with me that just as real as this pottery shard is in my hand, there really is a God who loves me and cares for me and created me with a purpose. And there are young people in America who need to know that. There are young people in America who need to know that this is not the end, it's the process. And God is preparing them to live their purpose. And one of the greatest emphasis, I believe, that FCA has done over the last several years has been how we have embraced our mission to impact coaches and students and all who they influence, how we've embraced the coach. My coach was a guy named Dan Reeves, and I told someone at my table I didn't know how first class Denver was till I signed with the Cleveland Browns. But wow, what an outstanding coach, what an impact he had on my life. And I remember we were playing the Kansas City Chiefs, who incidentally lost today. And I'll never forget, we were in the locker room, we were about to go out. I'm a rookie, and I'm like, oh, wow, this is great, NFL. I found out what NFL stands for, not for long. And we're about to go out, and here we are about to take a knee. We're going to pray, and Dan Reeves always had us pray before we went out to take the field. And he says, we all our head bowed and everything. We're ready to go out there. And he says, Steve Fitzhugh, will you pray for us? I didn't think he knew my name. But I remember leading the troops and praying for them. And I was so appreciative of this man because several things that the coach would say would stick with you. But one thing Dan Reeves said all the time It was difficult. We ended up going to the Super Bowl that year. Well, that was my second year, but we ended up going to the Super Bowl, and we lost to a team in Washington who doesn't have a name today. That's a whole nother talk. And it was tough grinding out that season. It was tough. And I never forget his little southern drawl. Dan Reeves said, if it were easy, we'd all be champions. Wow. It's not always easy. Sometimes as you go through life, dreams are going to crumble in your hand. Sometimes when you go through life, it seems like the devil will pull the rug out from under your feet. Sometimes you're going to go through life and a door will slam in your face. And sometimes you'll get that phone call and you won't be able to decipher what's really going on with that teenager who's from another planet, living in your house. Are you really mine? If it were easy, we all be champions, and somewhere we got to find a way to get up and keep going and be people of influence. So FCA has embraced our coaches, and I was so excited. Now, I don't even know what the radio station is, but I'll never forget 1400. Wow, what an opportunity. What an opportunity in this region to reach these coaches and to lead them. They are our leaders. Wow. When I think of leadership, I think of Moses. I think of Moses. A leader has to be able to see something that the people they are leading can't see, and convince the people they are leading to pursue that vision. Moses was promised that he would lead the Israelites to this promised land, and he sent these spies out. And all the spies came back, and this is 1 Steve chapter 7. I'm paraphrasing. All the spies came back and said, Moses, man, you tripping, man, you tripping. How we, man, them giants over there, player, come on, man, what's up with that? One by one, they come back and gave a bad report. And then here comes Joshua and Caleb. Moses, wow, huge giants, milk and honey. Let's do this. Now, see, something about leadership. See, you might get some pastors today, nobody in here, but you might get some leaders today who would say, Joshua and Caleb, can I talk to you guys? Now, the two of you said, let's do this. The 10 said, no way. So, we're going to go with the consensus here. Now, get this. Why did Moses go with the 2? Because the report the 2 gave confirmed the report God had already promised him. I see, God does something with leaders, and I hear about these ideas that these people have come up with. Why don't we start this kind of ministry and serve these kind of people? Why don't we do this? And why don't we, I believe that those ideas are already deposited in our DNA and just waiting for the right environment so God's voice of change and winds of change can unwrap those things inside of us that we are already purposed and resourced to do. Hold your applause. And it doesn't matter who you are, or where you're from, or how tall you are, short you are, how thin or big-boned you are. It doesn't matter. Because if you are sitting here tonight, you are sitting here on purpose. Whose purpose? God's purpose. How can you say that? And I didn't even know I was coming. You're here, aren't you? God brought you here. You're at this intersection. You know, can I digress? Do you know what had to go on in order for this event to happen? Hello? Hello? I was supposed to be here in April and do this event. But the reality is, well, somewhere in Nebraska, I'm not sure if it was this one, but anyway, the reality is that God made this event happen. And he brought you here to hear what you're saying right now. And you can't deny it. You might be thinking, well, why? God doesn't just haphazardly do things. Everything has a purpose and a reason and a season and a time. And already inside of you, he has already deposited in your DNA purpose. And in your own right, you are a leader. And leadership is so critical. One of my mentors always says that an army of sheep led by a lion can defeat an army of lions led by a sheep any day. An army of sheep led by a lion can defeat an army of lions led by a sheep every day. Why? Leadership. And so what we say here at FCA, we're going to embrace these leaders, these coaches who have such incredible influence on the lives of our young people. Today, I was just mentioning at our table what I see going on in the world today. If there ever was a time, we needed God to show up in the lives of our students on campus, it's today. If there ever was a time that we need a revelation of God's love in our families, it's today. If there ever was a time, can I keep it real? Can I keep it 100? I said that to my daughter one day trying to be hip. I said, can I keep it 100? She said, Dad, what? Don't say 100. Say 100. Okay, can I keep it 100? The reality is, if there ever was a time that we need to see the love of Christ in our communities, it's today, is it not? If there ever was a time we need to see God make a difference. And I've been approached by so many institutions lately to comment on the racial climate, to comment on what's going on culturally in America. I stay away from the politics part because that's, well, anyway. I've been approached. And Jesus had an answer for us all. Jesus showed us what to do when he gathered his disciples together. And he got a basin and a towel. And he bowed down to wash their feet. And I can hear Peter now. What is you doing? You ain't washing my feet. But Peter, if I don't wash, you the Lord, man. You the Lord, man. You ain't washing my feet. Peter, if I don't wash your feet, you can't be my disciple. If you miss what I'm doing right here, you missed the whole reason why I came. Well, then give me a bath then. Just give me a bath. Peter. Crazy Peter. If you miss what I'm doing, I came to serve. That's another reason why I would take my knee caddy through airports in America to get to an FCA legacy dinner. I'm on the board of FCA in Baltimore, and I don't want to tell all of their business, but we were trying to get the young lady on staff full-time, and she needed an average of about $3,000 a month to be able to raise the support to be on staff. And a friend of mine that I went to college with, a guy named John Harbaugh, was on a Zoom call, and we were telling John what she needed. And so John says, I'm going to show you how God is. John says, well, what if my wife and I, if we this year wrote a check for $100,000 and next year we write a check for $50,000? Will that help? Yeah, John, yeah. But the staff person was saying, we have a position available in northern Baltimore, we have a position available in western Baltimore, we have a position. I said, no, we don't have a position available. The last thing our young people need is another youth minister. Our young people need a called youth minister. We don't have a position available. We have an opportunity for ministry. It is a calling. It is a calling what this staff does. It is a calling. They feel compelled to leave that regular paycheck. Hello. It is a calling. And when I started the Fellowship of Christian Athletes in Washington, D.C., I understood something about red zone and yellow zone and your finances. It was a calling. I left my full-time job to do FCA. It was a calling. And you show me a staff person called to do this work, to embrace these coaches, to help them be the leaders they can be, to share the gospel with these students so it can revolutionize their lives. It's one of the most powerful things that we can possibly do. As I wrap up tonight with this introduction, I think about our friend from Chick-fil-A who just stood here and made very kind remarks, and it took me back to that day that Truett Cathy was showing me around his car collection. Truett Cathy, the founder of Chick-fil-A, incredible car collection. He says, Steve, I don't plan on buying cars, but I go to these car shows and I always come back with a car. It's like a, I don't know what it is. And I said to him, I said, Mr. Cathy, what's your magic? Magic, Steve? Yeah, I said, every time I pass a Chick-fil-A, the line is out the parking lot, number one. Number two, at that time, he had been married for 66 years. I said, you've been married 66 years, and you got a car collection second to none. What's your magic? There's no magic, Steve. There's no magic. My favorite verse in the Bible is Proverbs 22:1. A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches. And I tell my team all the time, whatever you do, you put your name on it. And you do it right 24 times, and the 25th time you mess it up, that family will never come back to your restaurant. I started a company called A Good Name. And the reason why I started that company, not because Truett Cathy impacted me so much, but Galatians chapter 6, 9 and 10 says, let us not grow weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap. You don't know what to do with your resources or where to place them. You don't know what to do with your support, and you don't know what bridge you can trickle your resources over to make a difference. The Bible makes it clear, makes it plain. Let us not grow weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. And it goes on to say, therefore, as we have opportunity. I don't know where your opportunity is going to show up. Tonight may be your opportunity. You may be our John Harbaugh tonight, okay? It doesn't have to be 100,000, but close to it. I don't know where your opportunity is going to show up, but as you have opportunity, you don't have to get in front. You don't have to be the first one in front of the line protesting, march. That doesn't have to be. Wherever you have opportunity, let us do good unto all men and women, especially unto those who are of the household of faith. As you have opportunity, do good. Let that be attributed to your name. That you took advantage of the opportunities that have come your way. Let that be attributed to who you are, and let that be your legacy. And we can sit back, and years from now, you can watch testimonies of people whose lives have been changed because of a coach that you helped support through FCA, because of a student who met Jesus Christ because of FCA. And they'll talk about the resources that FCA put in their hands that made them a better husband or father or wife or mom. You never know. I'm one of the ones, had no idea growing up the way I did that I'd be having lunch with my wife and daughters on the Eiffel Tower in Paris, France one day. Woo, that was something. Had no idea that I married the wife that I have today. My wife, Karen, she's a dentist by profession, spent 8 years as a major in the Army Reserves. My wife has a drill and a gun. Wash dishes without being asked. Had no idea I had the two beautiful daughters I have today and the lovely granddaughter I have. Oh my goodness, she loved her some pop. I'm so glad I had a garden of time to meet this King, Jesus Christ. And I get the privilege of laying my hands to the plow of the ministry of FCA in any capacity I can. Amen? God bless you.